Hey everybody, it's Julie and welcome to my June recap. I was debating whether I was gonna film this because, part of me wants to and then part of me doesn't. You know what I mean? Like part of me is in the mood and part of me isn't. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and film it and see if I even upload this thing. So June was a pretty tumultuous month, and I'm sure like everyone else, I've just been listening a lot. I've been trying to read a lot and watch some informative videos, and been having some difficult conversations, which I'm not unused to these kind of difficult conversations on race, just because, hello, I'm a person of color, but now it's like taken an even more dramatic turn, like to the nth degree of difficult and intense conversations. Anywho, it has to be done. It has to keep being done, right? And so before I get into the other stuff, I do want to share a few videos from the community. If you haven't seen these already, I highly recommend you check them out. So the first one is from Benabel Wen, and this video talks about how YouTubers in the spiritual pagan community get a higher rate of dislikes on their videos that talk about BLM versus YouTubers in other niches. The two that Benabel talks about are the booktubers and the makeup YouTubers. So when those YouTubers veer kind of off their subject matter and talk about Black Lives Matter, they do not get as high a proportion of dislikes as the people in the pagan witchy community do. So it's a very interesting video. Check it out. Another video is from Tom Benjamin. He posted this conversation where he talks about the topic of American English and uses that as an example to illustrate concepts of racism and white supremacy. It's just so well articulated. Do check that out. And then Will from Atypical Tarot and his girlfriend have a video where they talk about systemic racism and race relations. Kashia over at Tarot Map has a lovely interview with Queen Auset where they talk about systemic racism, Black Lives Matter, diversity in tarot, tokenism, and Queen Auset also talks about how she got her name and how she got into tarot. And so that whole conversation is wonderful. And then finally, Kelly Ann Maddox, she has an interview with Angie from Angie Speaks. I've never heard of her before, but I'm glad I found her now. And oh my gosh, they talk about so much. They talk about systemic racism and how that relates to neo-capitalism. They talk about witchy consumption. They talk about allyship. It's just, I have to rewatch that video actually because I don't think I've processed even half of it. There's so much there. So if you haven't watched that yet, I highly recommend that one as well. So I will include links to all of these videos in the description box below. One of the more positive highlights from June was that I took an extended weekend trip to Rehoboth Beach with a good friend of mine. It was kind of an impulsive trip, but she has a coworker who rents out his little cottage, little tiny house. It's essentially a tiny house, that's what it is, to people, and she wanted to rent it for a weekend, and she asked me to come along. And so that was my first experience in a tiny house, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. And he also had this screened in porch where you could sit and have your breakfast, your coffee, and just sit there and watch all of the birds, because it overlooked this little courtyard that the other tiny houses shared. And it was much needed, getting to bird watch and sit there, and then go to the beach and walk along the beach. I did not get in the water. So I'm afraid of the ocean, okay? I like the ocean. I think it's beautiful. And I'm afraid of drowning in the ocean. And so, but what I learned from this trip was that I actually love walking along the shoreline and getting my feet wet. I love having the waves crash up onto my legs. And that's about the extent of it. That makes me very happy, and that's all I need. So it was a trip that I didn't know I needed until I was there, if that makes any sense. It was just, yeah, I didn't realize how much stress I guess I was truly under until I went and was able to decompress, and I didn't want to come back, actually. So it was great. And then another lovely highlight of June was that I won a giveaway from Corvin Greene over at Tail Raven Tarot. And I won this book right here, Modern Tarot from Michelle T. Corvin was saying how much they love this book, and so I've never read it before. I'm glad to have won. Thank you again, Corvin. If you have not checked out Corvin's channel, definitely do so. I will leave a link to their channel. They have a booktube as well. I will leave that somewhere down there, up there, wherever. So that was awesome. And then also later in June, I had a channel spotlight interview on Rochelle's channel. Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension. She invited me to come on to have a little chat and interview, and I was just so honored to be asked. And never done a live before. She was my first, and she was lovely. She was lovely, made me feel very comfortable. And so, if anyone out there, any other like tarot tuber, witchy tuber out there who is interested in doing an interview, you should definitely hit Rochelle up. She knows how to do it. She's awesome. She's great. And I had a lot of fun. And thank you to those who were able to join the live, and to those who watched it afterward. So I really appreciate that. And then also, June is my birthday month. So it was a pretty low-key birthday, and lovely all the same. I got to spend time with my sister. I got to spend time with a couple friends. Of course, received some lovely gifts. It was hard because I honestly feel like I'm at an age where I don't know what to ask for anymore, and then people keep asking me, and I just don't. There's nothing that I really want. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that I really want. And so when I ask for, say, like experiences, that's great and all, but they want something, people want to give me something tangible and like physical. Or like if I ask for gift cards, that's not personal enough. So it's become like harder and harder for me to tell people what to get me, because I have made a rule for myself that I'm not asking people to get me any more tarot decks. And so, but I did end up with some lovely things. One thing that I did ask for, this was the one thing that I thought up at the very last minute, is this Canon mini photo printer. I know that several people in the community use this for tarot journals or their bullet journals. I think the first time I saw something like this was on Lisa's channel, Lisa from Supportive Tarot. And so Matt got this for me among a few other things. And so, I've loved this. I've loved this so much and have been using this a lot. Just printing out little photos of, just memories. One thing that I printed out is Catherine from Hypatia Tarot. You might have even seen this. She might have sent it to you if you're on Instagram and she knows you, but she sent me some, what she called mountain medicine, which was a video of her just panning over these beautiful mountain tops and like the water and the trees, and like it was just what I needed on that particular day. I wasn't feeling the greatest on that particular day, and it really was medicine. It really was medicine. So I took a little screenshot of it and printed it from my photo printer and put it in my journal because that really meant a lot. So thank you, Catherine. What else? So I asked for books. I even told myself no more print books, try to get things on the e-reader to be a little more eco-friendly. And but I couldn't think of anything else to ask for. So I got a shit ton of books. So, and then just some random other things that people got me. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law got me this lovely little teacup set. And they know I love teacups. What else? My one very good friend, she has her own business in wedding invitations, and so she does stationery. She's just so creative and talented. So she just, gave me this huge package of various things, and included in the package was this right here. She made this Baby Yoda notepad for me. Super, super cute. Love it. Love it so much. It's like I don't want to use it because I love it so much. And then she made me this fun little coloring book because she knows I love unicorns. And so she just made me a cute, simple coloring book. I've only done a couple pages. Penis corn Petra. She and I, never mind. I received some birthday money, so I used that to get a deck. So I won't have someone like go out and buy me a deck, but I will buy myself a deck with birthday money. I feel like that is a legit kind of boundary there. I don't know. So I bought myself the Darkwood Tarot. I feel like I had put this on an anti-haul at one point because I convinced myself I didn't need it. I don't know. I think it's because, one, I was seeing a lot of the same images, during the making of this deck. And you know how when you see some of the same images over and over, you kind of, it loses its luster. And I thought, well, maybe I don't need this deck after all. Even though I love Abigail Larson, I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't need this. But after seeing some walkthroughs, I changed my mind, and I have been on the search for kind of like a vampire gothy type deck, and I think this definitely has hit the spot for me. So I have been working with this, worked with this in part of June, and will probably continue doing so in July, all of July. I guess I could do a book review, a deck review if you want me to. I don't feel like I'm so great with deck reviews, but if you'd like me to, I can try. But I've been having a good time with this. The Oracle deck that I have continued working with from May is the Oracle of the Shapeshifters. This is the Australian version. And I've just continued on with trying to get to know the deck better, pulling a card every night, not necessarily with the intention of a message. It's really just to get to know it better and to read off the guidebook and get a feel for the deck. And I've been really enjoying it. This deck, though, this has been my Eager Beaver card, stalker card. I tend to call my stalker cards Eager Beavers because it's like, hey, I'm back. Hey, it's me again. So this card is the Unending Sadness of Looking Back. endless regret, obsessive grief, replaying the past, negative nostalgia. Thank you. For movies and TV, it's really been just a few things that I watched. One being the movie Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman. This is an older movie, a Western that Matt says is one of like the best Westerns, and I needed to watch it. And I've been meaning to watch it. I've been meaning to watch it for decades. I just never got around to it. And so I finally said to Matt, I will watch it. So we watched it together and it was good. It was good. I still think that Tombstone is by far my favorite like cowboy Western movie, but this was good. On TV, Matt and I watched Be Water, which is a documentary on Bruce Lee. I have loved Bruce Lee since I was wee little. My father and I watched all of his movies together, and so I grew up with very fond memories of Bruce Lee and his films. And this documentary was okay. I liked it. I think one of the big detractors for me was that the people interviewed, all of the commentary was voiceover, and you never saw the faces of the people talking. You never saw the faces of friends or the family members or the former students or journalists. At the very end, you do see their faces finally, and they're holding up a picture of them with Bruce Lee. But it would have been helpful, at least for me. I've come to realize that if I'm watching a documentary, I would like to have the voice with the name, with the face, so that when these same people are jumping back in with commentary, I can string the pieces together of, their relationship with Bruce Lee, and follow along a little more fluidly than how that was structured. So I didn't quite like that. And because the people being interviewed were close to him, friends and family, his wife, Linda, and his daughter, etc., of course, it was biased toward the positive, and didn't really touch at length on the fact that he was quite an asshole. And he, not all the time, but that he was a difficult person and that he was an unfaithful husband. I was also able to see some footage that I personally have never seen before, like, for instance, when he had died and his body was taken back to Seattle from Hong Kong, and they had an open casket wake, and people from all over came to visit, like Steve McQueen and other celebrities, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and people he's worked with and also trained in martial arts. And so that was very interesting. And then finally, also on TV, Disney Plus, we watched the Mandalorian Gallery, which was maybe, I want to say 8 episodes of just kind of behind the scenes, like roundtable discussions with Jon Favreau and that other dude, I forget his name, and the different directors, and then you got to see some of the cast members, and of course you got to see Baby Yoda, and you got to learn about how the score was composed. It was just it was great to geek out to. For books, not really much in that department. I finished up a beta read for somebody the first week of the month, and then the only other book I read was Lunar Abundance by Ezzie Spencer, and I do have a book review on that as part of the 28 Days of the Moon series that I participated in. Thank you again to Maha for inviting me to do that. You can check out that video. It is now up on my channel if you want to learn more about that book. I think that's it. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all are well, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.